Today I would like to talk again about change. In particular, I would like to focus in on what our beliefs are about whether we can change different aspects of ourselves. So can we change how intelligent we are? Can we change our math ability? Can we change our level of shyness? There's a psychology researcher, motivation researcher at Stanford University named Carol Dweck, who has, over the last 20 years, shown that the way we think of our ability or our personality in a specific area is very important in determining whether we are able to change. Carol Dweck always begins by asking her audiences to answer a simple either-or question. So she asks whether you would agree with the first statement I'll tell you or the second statement. The first statement is, your intelligence is something about you that you cannot change very much. The second statement is, no matter how much intelligence you have, you can always change it quite a bit. So it's asking you, is intelligence something you can not change, that's fixed, or is it something you believe you can always change? What Carol Dweck finds is that with North Americans, people will split pretty much 50-50. So half the people will say intelligence is fixed, half will say it's malleable. If you ask this same question in Asian countries, you'll find that 75% say it's malleable, and only 25% believe it's something that's fixed. Now, Carol Dweck changes what she asks about. Sometimes she'll ask about math ability. Is your math ability something that is fixed, or is it malleable? Here, it looks like more people think that it's fixed. So in North America, about 75 or 80% of people say, math, it's something you either have or you don't have. She also asked about personality. So here you could see the question is your shyness something about you that you cannot change very much? Or is it something that no matter how shy you are, you can always change? It turns out it's interesting. For this one, on average, people, it's 50-50. But if you're a shy person, you're more likely to say, A, my shyness is something that I can't change very much. So 75% of shy people say that. Whereas if you're not shy, more than the majority will say, yes, you can change it. Now, why is this important? It's important because Carol Dweck has an amazing program of research with many people following the paradigm and the kinds of studies she's done. And what she's found is that it's really very important motivationally, whether you believe a specific aspect of yourself is fixed or changeable. And there's 4 critical things that happen when you believe your math ability or your shyness or your dancing ability is malleable, whether it's changeable. The first thing is you tend to seek challenge, and you tend to think in terms of, boy, if I try something new, I'll learn something and I'll be able to master it. If you believe your dancing ability or your math ability is fixed, you won't want to face anything that's challenging because you don't believe you can learn and change. Second thing, Carol Dweck would say it's inevitable in any area of your life that you really care about, you're going to have to face failure. So if you want to be a journalist, if you want to be a writer, you send out your work, you're going to get a lot of negative feedback. And what her research suggests is that if you believe that writing is a fixed natural talent and that you only have so much of it, you won't hold up very well to critical feedback, and obstacles will be unsurpassable barriers. On the other hand, if you have a theory that your writing ability is something that's changeable and it's something that can grow and develop, you'll be more resilient. You'll persist because you think, I'm going to figure this out. A third thing that Carol Dweck finds is that when you have an implicit belief that your personality or that your abilities are malleable, you give much more effort because you feel like it's really just a matter of keeping at it. It's not only keeping at it, though. The other thing you do is you look to develop strategies, like getting help or trying new things. And you're always trying to get an edge because you believe, I could do this if I just find the right way, if I find the right instruction, I find the right practice. There's a lot of evidence that if you have an implicit theory of ability, that your ability is malleable and changeable, then you'll seek challenge, you'll give a lot of effort, you'll pursue useful strategies, and you'll be resilient in the face of obstacles. The other thing Carol Dweck has shown is that with children, if you can get them to change their theory of their math ability or their theory of their shyness, what you'll find is that they'll actually begin to develop new skills and to begin to grow and make progress. And that it all begins with believing that this specific capacity isn't something that's predetermined and fixed. Instead, it's something that's malleable and growable. My guess is a lot of you are skeptical. And a question that Carol Dweck often gets, and I get this when I teach about it, is, isn't it naive to believe that everyone has the potential to change? For example, some people are just bad singers. Some people can't hit a tennis ball very well. Some people can't draw very well. Now, Carol Dweck actually answered that question, and I'll give you a personal example and then what she said. So let's take drawing. Most of us feel like we're terrible drawers and we've never been good. So I'm going to show you some self-portraits. Here's a picture of my daughter and I from a few years ago. We were doing the Tour de Lille, and you see our faces. Now, I tried to draw my face, and you see it over here, and you can tell, that's a really bad drawing. Maybe I would be at the 10th percentile. Now, my daughter, her drawing is quite good. And you might say, well, she's my daughter. How could she be good when I'm terrible? The difference is my daughter always liked drawing. She practices, and she had some classes and some lessons. Carol Dweck notes that most people don't think they can draw very well. And what she uses to counter your idea that you could never learn is that there's a brilliant teacher named Betty Edwards who wrote a book about this. And she has a 1-week class where you go every day for 8 hours, and she teaches you about shadowing, perspective, how to set up your drawing. And what I'm going to show you here are the self-portraits that people made on day 1, and then the self-portraits they made at the end of the week. So you see this first lady on the first day, and then a week later, it's a lovely 3-dimensional character. He's a fellow who draws himself as like a globular entity, and then a week later, there's a really precise, clear picture. Here's another lady where she's like a ghost figure, but then after a week of training, there's a nice self-portrait. Here's another person, but his drawing gets better too. And what Carol Dweck says is we never know exactly what someone is capable of with the right support from the environment and the right degree of personal motivation and commitment. And many of the things that we think we can't do, like dancing, skiing, singing, it turns out it's not really true that we can't do it. Carol Dweck says the way we have to teach our kids and the way we have to learn ourselves is that it's not that I can't swim, it's that I can't swim yet. And I can say in my own life, I only learned to swim when I was 45. I learned to downhill ski when I was 55. I had instruction, I did practice. I'm not a great swimmer, but I learned and I grew. And the point is, it's probably true. It's definitely useful to believe that all of our abilities are malleable and developable.